Money in the Bank 2025 is finally here, and it's time to look at the most shocking rumors that you need to know about this year's
finally wins the big one. LA Knight is set to enter his third consecutive Money in the Bank ladder match, and a lot of the fans are labeling this as a make or break for LA's status as a main eventer. LA Knight has impressed since ditching the Max Dupree persona. However, it's evident that Triple H sees LA in an upper mid-card role, and Triple H seems comfortable presenting him card champion at best. If LA doesn't win the briefcase on Saturday, then the chances of him ever becoming world champion are unfortunately extremely slim. Is this the final year in which Triple H pulls the trigger and allows LA to become Mr. Money in the Bank? Not only that, but having a successful cash-in at the same time. Number 2, Roman Reigns returns. The odds-on favourite to win the men's Money in the Bank ladder match on Saturday is Seth Rollins. With Rollins being cemented as one of the top heels in the company, it would be only natural to have Rollins win the briefcase for the second time. However, it's been heavily rumoured that Roman Reigns will be returning in time for a program at SummerSlam, and with Reigns and Rollins having unfinished business, Reigns could easily return to cost Rollins the briefcase. Rollins being about to unhook the briefcase only for Reigns to make a dramatic return would be an incredible moment, and the pop would be earth-shattering. This would then open the door for WWE to book a singles match between the two at SummerSlam, and it could potentially main event one of the respective nights of the two-night broadcast. Number 3, the Wyatt Six assist Alexa Bliss. Now that the Wyatt Six are back on WWE programming, it's only a matter of time before they encounter Alexa Bliss. Initial creative plans call for Bliss to be heavily involved in the faction, however it looks like the two are remaining as two distinct entities, at least for now. But with that being said, if WWE still plans on having Bliss join, they could easily use Money in the Bank to further the alliance. Having the Wyatt Six appear out of nowhere to assist Bliss could be a unique way to have her win the matchup. However, the idea of Bliss needing help to win a match she's won in the past makes the fans question her legitimacy. Additionally, the initial Money in the Bank ladder match for the women back in 2017 received criticism due to James Ellsworth being involved, so WWE booking a similar finish with the Wyatt Six may not be well received. Number 4, Mommy in the Bank. WWE loves branding, and the Mommy in the Bank phrase may be just too good to miss out on with WWE's merch. Rhea Ripley's popularity and star power is well documented, and having a custom briefcase with the Mommy in the Bank slogan on it would be the talk of the wrestling world. WWE likes to release replica briefcases, and Ripley having her own would be incredibly appealing to our die-hard fans. There's certainly an argument to be made that Ripley doesn't need the contract, especially with her being world champion just a few months prior. However, WWE haven't shied away from having former champions win the briefcase, so it wouldn't come as a surprise to see Ripley win her first ever Money in the Bank contract. Number 5, Naomi's time. Fans on social media are heavily backing Naomi to win the women's Money in the Bank contract. Since turning heel earlier in the year, Naomi's work has been outstanding and she's been more than ready to have another reign as world champion. Out of all the names in the women's match, Naomi is the most sensible choice, as she's insanely over with her current character, and WWE could easily use a successful cash-in to further storylines with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Number 6, Bayley returns. I would say given that Bayley is back on WWE television in time for Evolution, Money in the Bank could be the perfect place for her to return. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria are set to collide in a last chance match, and Bayley costing Lynch the Intercontinental title would be the perfect setup for a match between the two at Evolution next month. Number 7, Fiend. It was reported that Travis Scott was going to wrestle at Money in the Bank. Early plans for the show called for Scott to team up with Logan Paul and John Cena to take on Cody Rhodes and the Usos. These plans were thankfully scrapped, and the extremely negative fan reception to the report likely had something to do with it. But with that being said, it's claimed that Scott has been training to wrestle, and is being trained by Booker T, and if Scott already cleared his schedule for Money in the Bank, then it wouldn't come as a surprise to hear his infamous theme song play at Money in the Bank during the main event. Now, it's unclear what his involvement could be. It could be another interference spot, but WWE have to present his involvement significantly better than the way they handled his dire WrestleMania 41 appearance. Number 8, John Cena face turn. Fans are convinced that John Cena is turning face sooner rather than later, and there's some fans that think that Logan Paul is going to be the man who turns him back. Cena teaming with Paul as a villainous duo is an odd mix on paper, but Cena could easily realize the error of his ways as he's watching Paul strut his stuff. Cena's babyface turn is likely to have an extremely slow build, and it's possible that he doesn't fully turn until he drops the WWE title, which could potentially be at SummerSlam. WWE could use Money in the Bank and the main event tag match to plant the seeds of doubt and regret in Cena's head, and this could be the ideal match to add some much needed character development to Cena's heel persona. As let's face it, anything's better than what they've been doing so far. Number 9, John Cena gets pinned. But WWE are destined to use the main event tag match as a way to set up John Cena's SummerSlam program. It's highly likely that Cena takes the pinfall for the match, and if Cody Rhodes finally pins Cena 1-2-3, then this would indicate that Cena vs Rhodes Part 2 is the plan for one of the main events for SummerSlam. Cena hasn't been pinned so far in 2025, and while some may say that this could be too early for him to take a pinfall loss, Rhodes getting the W really won't hurt Cena, and they could easily play it off as Cena and Logan Paul having a miscommunication as the reason for the loss. WWE also has another Saturday night's main event special as well as Night of Champions before SummerSlam, so there's a lot of time to build Cena's SummerSlam program. When it comes to Night of Champions, Cena is expected to play a significant role on the show. He's the poster boy for the entire event, and Cena's last match in Saudi Arabia is going to be a big deal. There's been no news on who Cena will face in Saudi Arabia, however it wouldn't come as too much of a shock for WWE to run Cena vs Rhodes Part 2 at the event and allow Cena to face a former foe such as CM Punk at SummerSlam. The possibilities are just endless when it comes to Cena's future creative direction, yet all signs point towards him taking a pinfall loss in Money in the Bank's main event. Number 10, a main event cash-in. Now whoever wins the men's Money in the Bank contract has a huge opportunity on Saturday. Both respective world champions, those being Jey Uso and John Cena, will be in the same match at the same time, and logic would assume that WWE are going to at least tease a cash-in angle. How would this work? Well, if the Money in the Bank holder cashes in mid-match, does the match get called off in favor of a singles match between Mr. Money in the Bank and the champion of their choice? It would make for such a compelling storyline and would certainly shake up the established and somewhat tired format of the Money in the Bank concept. The perfect wrestler to deliver this style of cash-in is Seth Rollins. Rollins made history by being the first man to cash in at WrestleMania back in 2015. And now Rollins could once again break new ground. Rollins having his new faction clear house before picking apart Jey Uso would make him look like the smartest wrestler in the world, and this has to be something that WWE considers for the show. It's likely that if the cash-in goes down, then it's on Jey Uso, as Cena doesn't appear to be dropping the WWE title anytime before SummerSlam. Additionally, if Jey drops the title, this means that his world title match with Gunther is also changed, and fans aren't exactly going to cry out in anger over another Jey Uso vs Gunther match being scrapped from the WWE schedule. And is it time for a change? It was reported a number of weeks ago that Triple H wasn't the biggest fan of the Money in the Bank concept. This didn't exactly need a report, as the way the game has booked the contract holders has been rather telling, and his lack of charisma and enthusiasm when talking about the concept speaks volumes. Could Triple H turn his dislike for the concept and shape the 20-year-old match type into something new? Obviously, the idea of the Money in the Bank ladder match has to stay the same, but this year Triple H could easily have had 2 exciting cash-ins to make the contract actually mean something once again. One theory is that the women's winner will cash in advance at the Evolution PLE next month. This would make the event feel like a huge deal, but it would only work if a babyface wins the matchup. In terms of the men's winner, as we mentioned earlier, a main event cash-in is fully possible. However, the game did the same night cash-in last year and fans were less than impressed. Triple H needs to sit down and book the Money in the Bank winners in line with his creative vision for the next 12 months. If he has the idea of putting the world title on a name ahead of WrestleMania 42, then he could easily make that specific wrestler the Money in the Bank holder, and then he has an easy path to crown them as champion. Ultimately, the Money in the Bank is still one of WWE